Hello guys and welcome to my tutorial on how you can apply melee damage to the player in UFPS. For this I have downloaded the cartoon zombies from Calamona from the asset store, and I'm going to use the zombie boy. So let's drag and drop it into the scene and let's create the animator controller. I'm going to create this right here in this folder, because this will not be included. These assets are from the asset store and I cannot include them. Yeah, that's just for the tutorial. So let's create a new animator controller, call it zombie, and assign it into our model. Let's create it. Let's check what animations are there. So let's create maybe a blend tree, call it locomotion, and a new parameter, float for speed, and add 3 motion fields. And the first one we will assign the idle. Let me find it. Second one will be the walk. And the third one, run. Let's take a look. If the speed is 0, we idle and then we begin to walk and run. Okay, but we will change the thresholds a little bit. So 0 for idle, 1 for walk, and 2 for run. That's it here. And then we want to create the attack. We have 2 attacks, so let's also create a blend tree, call it attack. And let's add a float parameter for randomness of the attack. So just random, assign it here, and add 2 motion fields. And then you drag and drop the attacks into those motion fields. And well, this is okay. The threshold 0 and 1. So if the random parameter is 0, it will do 1 attack, and if it's 1, it should do the other. She rotates, so let's fix this by selecting the attacks, the first one, and then we want just to clump the rotation, root transform, well, basically all this 3 checked and apply. The same for the other attack. And this is okay. The walk, we will clump the walk also. Funny walk. We want to loop the funny walk. and we don't want to use the root motion data, so clump them. And also for the run. Okay, this already. So we want transition from locomotion into attack and back again, and add a condition here. We want to add a trigger condition called attack. So if the attack is triggered, we transition to attack, our attack state, and back after some time, so exit time is fine. Okay, that should be it. For now, let's add the components that we need. We need the nav mesh again component. It's okay. And we want also to add the capsule collider. 1.9, radius of 0.4, and height of 0.95. Okay. Now let's set up the IE for it. So we will need to add the IE runtime controller. Level of 20, and let's create the IE controller for our model. And assign it into the IE runtime controller field. We choose the zombie for the animator controller to have pop-ups. And yeah, well, in most IEs you will need a game object called as player, so we can find the player. So then we create a simple state, call it idle. In this state we will search for the player, so game object find closest. In our case we could also use another action to find the player, maybe also find game object, but yeah, does not matter yet for this tutorial. And our player is tagged as player, so we have to assign the player tag here. We want also to set the animator parameter speed to 0. Okay, then let's create the follow state and make a transition from idle to follow, and add some conditions. So we want to check if our player is not null, and we want to check if the distance is less than maybe 8. We transition into follow. And the follow state, we want to set the float to 2. So we want our zombie to run when when the player is inside. And then we are going to create a new simple state and call it attack, and transition from follow into attack and back again. A condition for to switch from follow into attack will be also a distance condition. So if the distance is less than 2, we will transition into the attack state, and if the distance condition if the distance is greater than 2, we will transition into follow state. Here we will also add an animator condition. So this name does not equal attack. We will only transition from the attack state to follow state if we are not in the attack state in our animator controller, and if we are not in transition. In the attack state, we will create a new parameter, a float one, call it random, and set this random parameter just random. We have two attacks here, 0 and 1. So we set this our global parameter between 0 and 2, and we will but round this parameter to an int. So let me find it in the math, and then just round to int. We choose random and store it into the random global parameter. And then we will trigger the attack. So set trigger owner attack. Okay, we also need to set the float for the randomness before we do the trigger. So we set the random global parameter of our animator controller random. You don't need damp time here, so we will set this to 0, and all this should run in Aquarium. So check this, and yeah, we want also to delay our attack so it does not trigger or call all these actions all the time, but with a delay. Because of this, we are adding wait for seconds and add maybe delay between the attacks of 2.6 and 4.2. Yeah, let's try it out and see if it works. So if we are coming closer, he is following us, and then triggers the attack. But well, between the attacks he runs. That's because we haven't set the float here in the attack state to 0, the speed. So animator set not set bool, but set float. The speed to 0. and we don't want to run this in the queue. So yeah, let's try now. Okay, now he attacks us and idles, then attacks us again. If we run away, he follows us, attacks us. Okay, but maybe let's adjust in the animator controller a little bit the exit time, and set it to 0.85. And now let's add some damage. So the best results you get if you add the damage from the events. You can do this also with send message from the IE controller. So we could also add here wait for some seconds, yeah, or milliseconds, and then send a message to the player. But better results will be with the event system. So let's select the attack animation clip and add an event. Maybe here on this place. Yeah. And as a damage, we will add let's just call it send damage and add a float parameter of maybe 0.1. Apply it. And we do the same for the second attack. Maybe at this place. Some damage. And maybe a float parameter of 0.15. Apply. And now we need a proxy script that, because the send message event will be send it to our zombie boy. So let's create a new script. Let's call it forward damage. Assign it to our zombie boy. And create a private void send damage, the method, and with a float parameter damage. What we need also, we need to raycast from our zombie boy to the player. So let's create some public variables with public layer mask, public float, max distance, the maximum distance the player should be away from the zombie, and if he is beyond this distance, the damage will be not applied to the player. So maybe 2.2. and the method name that we will send. This is an UFPS damage as default. Well, that should be it. So raycast hit and if physics dot raycast from the position of the player of the zombie, so transform dot position. We want to cast the direction now. The direction will be forward of the transform. So transform dot forward, and the hit, the raycast hit, the distance, and the mask. So if we hit something in within this distance and within this mask, we will just hit dot transform dot send message, method name, and the damage. We don't require the receiver because if we hit the environment, yeah, it should not give us an error. Okay, that should be it. Now let's assign some public fields here. Let's say set the layer of our zombie boy to enemy, and add it in our mask, so everything, and then just uncheck the enemy, and maybe you also don't want to check on ignore raycast, and everything else is okay. Yeah, let's check it. So now, as you can see, the damage from the zombie is applied to the player. Okay, that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for